One game today. We're coming down to the wire on this thing. ALCS, Yankees, Astros, game 2. Luis Severino, Framber Valdez, your pitching matchup. Astros got the win in game 1, 4-2. So Houston with the 1-0 series lead. Yankees are now plus 225 to win the ALCS. Houston remains a significant favorite at minus 275. And the other thing about Houston is they are the clear favorite as of right now based on the odds to win the World Series over at BetMGM. Sean Zerillo, the Yankees, all the discussion coming into game 1. How would they get their pitching sort of back on track? It's a tough spot, making the travel, no celebration after the DS win over Cleveland. With now a game in the books, and they stayed in Houston in comfy hotel beds, hopefully. How do you approach this game 2?
I like the Yankees quite a bit in game 2. I think they have the starting pitching advantage. You look at the expected ERA this season for Luis Severino at 2.9, for Framber Valdez at 3.3. Severino points to having the advantage there, but what I really like from him is his recent sample. Came off the IL in September, started throwing back closer to 97, 98 miles an hour, which is where he sat back in 2018 when he was last fully healthy. Carried that into his one postseason start against Cleveland, sitting around 97.5 miles an hour. So his stuff has certainly come up relative to where it was earlier in the season. Throws his slider a ton, which the Astros struggle against. They rate closer to league average against sliders than they do against fastballs or changeups, which are the other two pitches in his arsenal. That slider can definitely keep their right-handed hitters on, keeping them in their lesser split as well. As a righty, the Astros much better against lefties. The other end of the matchup, Framber Valdez generates a ton of weak contact, bit of a unicorn because his ground ball rate, pop-up rate combined over 75% of the time. The only pitcher who rates higher than that is in the Yankees bullpen. So Framber Valdez, in terms of a starting pitcher, rarely allows fly balls to the outfield. The Yankees rely on scoring runs via the home run. Definitely an advantage in his favor. He just puts the Yankees in their more favorable split because they did excel more against lefties than righties. They also crush curveballs, which is his most commonly used pitch besides his sinker. One thing, too, that I think is a really interesting fit for this game, the Astros, a good defensive team, rated 4th. The Yankees were 1st on the season, but all of the Yankees or all the Astros' positive value came in the outfield. They rated below average at every infield position. Jeremy Pena was above average at shortstop, but the replacements they used other than him at shortstop were below average. And Bregman, Altuve both had very bad seasons relative to their career norms. So you're giving me a ground ball pitcher with a below average defense and an above average outfield. That is not the hit that you want to look for, the fit that you want to look for. So the Yankees, I give the starting pitching advantage here, the offensive advantage because the splits, the defensive advantage, particularly in terms of the fit, give the bullpen advantage, home field advantage to Houston. So I like the Yankees here in both halves, down to about plus 117 for the first 5 innings, plus 108 for the full game, or plus 126, I should say, for the full game. Higher price target on the full game because that Houston bullpen advantage. And I also like the under 7 to about minus 115. The money lines have come down closer to my price targets. The under was closer to minus 120 last night. That has moved down closer to minus 110. So the under moving against us, but the money line seemingly moving with us.
Yes, plus 125 right now on BetMGM. The total's at 7, even money there. And yeah, so that all sets up. Valdez did make one start against New York this season. It was back in June, and he pitched okay. Allowed 1 home run, but he went 6 innings deep, 6+, and sort of limited the damage with that lineup. Colin Whitchurch, Yankees, maybe off adrenaline, not an ideal situation, as I mentioned to Zerillo, to set us up here, but they get an early lead, and then Houston sort of settles in and takes control of that game. But seeing the number on the Yankees, does it tempt you to want to take them as well today?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't have a ton to add. Zerillo said everything that I was going to say in terms of liking the Yankees. I do think that I'm pretty strongly aligned on both halves for the Yankees and also the under. Big fan of Severino, and one of the things I will add is that I will be playing Severino's K-prop today as well. I know how hard the Astros are to strike out. Game 1 actually had the biggest strikeout discrepancy between two teams in postseason history. The Yankees struck out 17 times. The Astros struck out 2. If you had under 3.5 strikeouts on Jameson Taillon last night, one of the easiest wins you'll get all postseason, he struck out 0. But Severino is a different animal, and Zerillo said he's been looking more like his pre-injured self lately. He actually, for all the shortened season that he had with injuries, he actually faced the Astros twice back-to-back in July, struck out 7 in one start, 4 in another, 11 combined strikeouts over 12 innings in those 2 starts, and he looked solid in those outings, and that was before he ramped up his velocity, like we mentioned. So Severino, I think, is in a really strong matchup. My only concern with taking the Yankees is, like Zerillo mentioned, the Yankees are very reliant on the home run. Valdez does a great job at suppressing the home run. But again, the defensive edge there with Houston's defensive shortcomings in the infield, I still think makes New York the smart play. I think under is my favorite play of all of these, but I'll be on the Yankees both halves. And then Severino, as I mentioned, over 4.5 strikeouts is -120. Valdez's strikeout prop is a little more interesting right now at BetMGM. You can get over 4.5 at a heavily juiced -155. There are some over 5.5s out there in the market where you can get the over at plus money. It's generally a stay away spot for me. Like I said, the Yankees struck out a ton on Wednesday night. Valdez isn't the most strikeout pitcher there is, but generally this is a stay away, but I would probably lean over on his at 4.5. I just don't want to pay that juice. But Severino strikeout prop, I love.